Hello, my name is Sergio Del Amo, and in this video I'm going to show you the changes to retryable in Micronaut 4. I have two applications, one Micronaut 3 application and one Micronaut 4 application. I have, in order to illustrate you the change, I have here a really dummy controller. Often you will use retryable in combination with the Micronaut HTTP client when you are consuming a flaky API, an API that is not really reliable and that sometimes throws error, but you want to retry because you know that eventually you will get the response that you are looking for. So in this case, I am doing that my own API is going to be the one flaky. So as you see, I have a controller which will throw an 500 error, an internal server error in this line twice. So the first time is invoked, it will throw an error. The second time is invoked, it will throw an error. And the third time that is invoked, it will return a JSON object with the key message and the value hello world. I have a declarative HTTP client here. On the test class path, I have passed the value /flaky to the client annotation that will basically make this client point to that subset of my server. And I have one method which is a get request. It will be like a get request against a flaky, and I am expected a response type of a map of a string key and a string value. And then I have my test which initializes the server with the @Micronaut test annotation, injects the declarative HTTP client that I just showed you in the test, and it checks that it doesn't throw an exception. The Micronaut HTTP client will throw an exception for responses between 400 and 500 errors. So in my controller, I was returning twice a 500 error, so this will throw an exception. And I am expecting that if no exception is thrown, the response is actually what the controller was returning, so a JSON object with a message in the key and hello world in the value. If I run this test, the test will fail because the Micronaut HTTP client will not retry by default, and it's throwing like an internal server error. And if you want, you can actually log the HTTP client in the trace level, and we will show the request being invoked and the 500 error being responded. So I just execute it again. You see the request being sent, and we see here the 500 error being response. The Micronaut HTTP client has a really nice feature. It has an annotation which you can use in not just in the HTTP client but in AOP methods called retryable. So I can do here a retryable, and the retryable annotation, if you go to see the details, I think by default it attempts to retry 3 times. So my controller, as you saw, in the third time it will be a positive response. So this default number of attempts will be sufficient for us. So if I now run my test, the test will pass. We will still be able to see three requests in the logs, and 2 of them with a 500 error, but the third one will be successful. So I have here the first request which has a 500 error. I have here another request with another 500 error, and I have here the third request which now a 200 response. So really nice feature, the retryable annotation in the Micronaut HTTP client. This has been part of Micronaut I think since Micronaut 1. In Micronaut 4 the same code will work. So I have here a Micronaut 4 application with the same controller, the same HTTP client, the same test, all of that is the same, but the retryable annotation, you see that my project is not able to resolve it, and that's because we have moved the retryable annotation to its own dependency, to its own module. The idea is that not everyone wants to use retryable, and we are trying to create runtimes as lean as possible to fulfill everyone's use case. But if you want to use retryable, it's really easy to do it. you just come here and you add the dependency now is io.micronaut as a group ID and Micronaut-retry as an artifact ID. You don't have to specify the version because that's specified in the Micronaut bill of materials. And if I now refresh my project, IntelliJ will be able to resolve. The dependency is still marked in red, but it is there, hopefully, not because I have a typo. And if I come here and I correct the typo, and I now refresh and rerun, I should be able to have the test pass, and it's doing the request with the first two failing and the third one being successful. And as you see, everything works as in Micronaut 3. So you are still able to use add retryable in Micronaut 4, absolutely. But you have to add a new dependency to your project, which is io.micronaut as group ID and Micronaut-retry as artifact ID. I hope you enjoyed this video about the changes in Micronaut 4. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.